Hi, I'm John Aiello, and welcome to episode 2 of Hey Wow, Cool Cameraman. In our last episode, we talked about the very cool rocket camera from Japan in the 1950s. It was called a T-tin camera. It's basically a pinhole camera, a simple little box that takes not standard issue great photos, but really interesting photos. Today we're going to take a look at twin lens reflex cameras, and specifically the Pearl River twin lens reflex camera, which was made not in Pearl River, New York, but in Pearl River, China in the 1960s through the 1980s. It's a beautiful camera. Here's what it looks like. Mine is missing one of the rings here, but it totally works. I got this camera for about $30. It's a great camera and completely functional. So twin lens reflex, there you got it. Two lenses, right? Only one lens is actually used to take the pictures. This is the lens that the light gets through and it is attached to the shutter. And this is the lens that you see through. So you're looking down into the camera. You look down here, there's a mirror here at an angle, which makes your vision go out through the front. I'll show you what I mean. Right now you're seeing down through the top and out through this top lens, which I'm now blocking. There's a magnifying glass so you can get your focus right, which is easier said than done on these cameras, but you get beautiful results. You could also see that it is a square shot that you would be getting with this camera. Here are what the negatives look like, and a roll of film takes 12 square shots like this. We're going to take a look at some of these as prints in a few minutes. And the prints, when you want to enlarge a print, I'm going to have a special episode on developing and printing because I have a darkroom here. This slides into the enlarger that I have, and the negative that you see in the frame there could be enlarged as large or small as you wanted. The smallest you could do is the actual size. The biggest you could do would be dependent on how big the paper you have. Here's a print I made in the dark room. I'm putting it at a bit of an angle there so you don't get too much glare. This is from New Hope, Pennsylvania, and it was shot with the Pearl River camera. A couple more interesting things about this. Rolleiflex was the camera that this was probably modeled after. Rolleiflex was definitely more expensive and possibly a better camera, but this takes fantastic photos. Another plus for this camera, the Rolleiflex, was very heavy. This is made out of aluminum. When you're walking around in a city or somewhere taking shots, you don't want a 20-pound camera around your neck. This one is like half the weight of a Rolleiflex, which is definitely a plus. I got one particular picture here to tell you a story about. It's the shot on the wall. It was taken with this camera, and it was taken at my favorite pizza place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The story about it is this. So when I took this shot, I had the wrong film in the camera. I had film that was meant for daylight, but there obviously wasn't a lot of light in the shot. So I had to leave the shutter open for a long time to get enough light, and as a result, pizza maker's hands are completely blurred, but I kind of like that about the shot. Another interesting story about this shot, I was lucky enough to be invited to a local camera store to talk about my photography, my film photography, and to sort of thank me for the show, they printed a bunch of my photos large like this. So when I went to a pizzeria place in Philadelphia with my family, I brought this enlarged shot, presented it to them, and they gave us an evening of free food, and when the place closed, we stayed after with the staff, and they gave us a special dessert. So, moral of the story, film photography pays. There you go. I'm going to show you that one as a close-up. We will also, in a later episode, be looking at a few other twin lens reflex cameras, and also a large 4x5 camera, some other interesting pinhole cameras. And we will be paying a visit to the darkroom sometime soon. So thanks for being with me in episode 2 of Hey Wow, cool cameraman featuring the Pearl River twin lens reflex made in Pearl River, China in the 1960s. Thanks.